This is an RNZ podcast.
Hello Oketa, this is Pacific Waves from RNZ Pacific. I'm Susana Suisuki. Coming up, acid rain falls on Ambai and Vanuatu as the Manoro volcano spews ash. Also,
part of me wants to let up, but I have a sense of duty to pave the way for the next generation.
the rise of the Pati brothers. I chat to opera star Pene and Pati about their biopic. And
Absolutely in awe of the people he acknowledged and the way that he's told the story through music and movement.
a new stage show, music portrait of a humble disabled Samoan, moves audiences to tears. Acid rain from a volcano on Ambai, one of Vanuatu's outer islands, is reportedly affecting water and food supplies. Escalating activity from Manoro Voi prompted an emergency meeting of Cabinet in Port Vila late Friday to consider evacuation plans. Margot Staunton has the story.
Authorities say the volcano is spewing toxic burning ash, which is now covering the entire island due to wind changes. The Vanuatu Meteorology and Geohazard Department, or VMGD, says acid rain has now reached Santo, Malakula, Pentecost and Ambrum Islands. Its director, Levu and Fallow, described its effects.
It burns, right? Because it contains sulfuric oxide. It rains down, it becomes acid rain, right? It burns the crops, pretty anything that it gets in contact with. Water as well. Usually those who use wells, drums, tanks that are not covered, but borehole water, it seems to be okay.
Mr. Antfallow says the heavy ashfall has also altered pH levels in water.
I mean, it burns the protein source like vegetables. We were told as well it increases the pH of, waters where there's prawns and eelfish are there. So it turns the level of pH to become more acidic.
Edwin Tarai and his family were evacuated after Ambai erupted in 2018 and have never returned. The 74-year-old who lives in Santo says people on Ambai are complaining about government inaction.
There is no plan on moving out at the moment, but there is a concern. People are complaining when is the next arrangement from the government.
The former nurse practitioner says that the noise is increasing and can be heard in East Santo, Pentecost and Ambrum Islands. Nixon Garai, a tugboat captain in Luganville, Santo, says his relatives in East Ambai described the noise.
They said the noise is very loud because when people are talking, you can't hear the other person talking because of the sound was too loud. It will give pain to the ears because it's very loud and heavy.
He added,
the last Saturday when they were in church, he said when the preacher stood up on the front speaking, they can hardly hear him because of the noise was too loud.
A volcano duty officer with New Zealand's GNS Science, Yannick Beer, says Ambai is a typical shield volcano and is a very active one at that.
It's part of a chain of volcanoes in Vanuatu. They're sitting on a rifting zone that is caused by the eastward subduction of the Australian plate. That tectonic process keeps that volcanism alive, and so all volcanoes on this rifting zone, they erupt quite regularly.
He says the latest plumes are about 4 kilometres above sea level.
It can go twice as high, but again, these are explosive eruptions, but because of the consistency of the magma, they tend to be not quite as catastrophic as you can see them from other types of volcanoes.
The Geohazards Department has issued a reminder to Ambai residents to stay out of the danger zone. This comes after an aviation warning was issued on Thursday for volcanic ash cover over the island. In a public address overnight, Director Levu and Fallow warned residents to take precautions.
Just a reminder that the danger zone is a 3 kilometres radius around the crater, so do not go close to it unless you are certified, that is, you've come through VMGD or NDMO and have got their authority to go close and do work that will help us better understand what is happening with the volcano on Ambai.
He added,
things to take care of include water, protect your water supply, It will also affect food gardens and also those with respiratory illnesses or who suffer from shortness of breath. This can affect the health of families that live close to or in the surrounding areas of Ambai.
And just to update the story, Vanuatu's government has decided not to order a mass evacuation of Ambai Island in the face of increased activity from the Manurovui volcano. The Council of Ministers this afternoon endorsed a plan of action by the National Disaster Committee. Koroi Hawkins has details.
The plan includes deploying a team from the Disaster Management Office to Ambai on Saturday, for which the government has approved a budget of 20 million Vatu, about $168,000. Once they're there, they'll assess the most affected parts of Ambai and declare them disaster zones. Climate Change Minister Ralph Regenvanu says there is no mandatory evacuation at this stage, but people in the worst affected areas are encouraged to move to less affected parts of the island if they do not feel safe. He says plans are in place to evacuate the whole island should volcanic activity increase further.
Before finding fame on some of opera's grandest international stages, brothers Pene and Amitai Pati called South Auckland home. Tēnā, My Name is Pati follows the pair's rise from singing in church halls to success with Trio Sole Mio and international opera debuts. Directed by Rebecca Tansley, the documentary was shot across 7 countries, including Samoa, the siblings' birthplace. I caught up with Pene Pati and began by asking him what it feels like to have his life story out there in the world.
You know, every time I get asked this question, I still haven't figured out a way to answer that. I'm both ecstatic, I'm excited, but at the same time, it's quite bizarre to see yourself, of course, to see your life played out in front of everybody. There's a sense of vulnerability, but at the same time, I feel like it's a story that a lot of people can relate to. So I'm both excited to see how it reacts with a lot of the community. A lot of people can relate to the upbringings, can relate to the dream chasing. So yeah, it's a bit of everything, to be honest.
How did the idea for the film come about anyway?
It's Rebecca Tansley, the director, approached me. She was like, you've got this unique story that I read in the Sole Mio book. I've obviously been following Sole Mio for so long, and yet you've branched out in some respect to go chase your own dreams. Well, the boys have too, but you've done it in a way that's, you've just been moving and non-stop. Can I show, the journey or what it took? And at the time I was like, there's nothing special there. And truly she just said, let me film it first. I know it's going to take 3-4 years, but I tell you what, the end product is going to blow your mind. And she was absolutely right.
There are moments in the film where you look back at the times where you're performing at the rest home as well as the school production. Did it ever cross your mind back then that, oh my gosh, maybe this could lead me to singing for some of the most prestigious opera stages in the world?
Not really. I didn't even think it was an actual career path. When someone said, you should do singing, I was like, what do you mean? That is the worst suggestion. But then as I really got into it and the dream started getting bigger and I was like, maybe I could do this. Then beyond that, it never became a doubt in my mind. It was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I'm going to do this. And I just became so stubborn in this dream chasing.
Absolutely. And what I loved about the film is how authentic you are in being grounded, staying true to who you are as a Samoan, even though you were chasing big dreams. What is about Tautua that's so important to you? Why does it continue to put you on this path where you want to bring in new Pasifika opera singers when you're at a level where you could just be like, I don't need to prove anything to anyone?
Good question. I think art, good art is when it's not made for yourself. All artists, when they paint something, it's not for themselves. They want people to have a look at this, of what's in their minds, And so this idea of Tautua is because the reason why I kept chasing is because I feel like the culture has shaped who I am. The people have shaped who I am. So the art now, what I do on stage, has this incredible motivation that I need to do it for them. I need to do it for the people, which in turn creates better singing, creates better emotive singing. So this Tautua to the people, to the traditions, to the culture, I think truly is what makes my singing it.
Absolutely. And it's pretty ironic, right? Because in the Samoan culture, we talk about tautua serving others. And in like the Western world, like we need to be more individualistic. But if you think about it, all the Samoans that carry that tautua, they have a lot of mana in their leadership. I mean, not only yourself, but I'm thinking of like Ari Savia and Monica Giletti, who was featured in your movie. Like, would you say, would you agree with that?
Absolutely, 100%. Because now it's not an arrogant thing. It's not a vain thing. It's not like I'm going out there to show you that I'm the best. It's more you carry so much weight by saying I'm going out there to show you where I'm from. That's something completely different, and that's what makes these people, Monica Giletti and Joseph Parker and Ari Savea, that's what makes them leaders, is because they're doing it for everyone rather than I'm just doing it for my own pride.
Absolutely, because it's 6A5 to the world, baby.
Amen, baby, I'll take it.
Hey, and what's it like living overseas? Do you ever get homesick?
Oh, why you want to tug at the heartstrings for? You want to remind me of my situation? Of course I get homesick. I think about home so much. I think about Samoa a lot. I think about Mangele a lot. I know the city like the back of my hand. It's every time I come home, I slot right in. It's never like, oh, what's the side of the road again? It's constantly on my mind, and it both makes me sad, but at the same time, it motivates me. You just got to keep doing what you got to do.
Would you ever move back home, or do you still feel like you have a long way to go in terms of your career?
I think when it's all said and done, honestly, I think I'm going to stay out there for as long as it takes to do what I got to do, which the career is actually really, really long if you keep at it. But I think when it's time for the sunset, that's when I can move home and say, look, I've done what I rode out there when the sun was rising, and I'm back home. I really do think that there is going to come a time that I will move home when it's all said and done.
Last question, Pene. What are you hoping audiences take away from your film?
Honestly, just the idea. I really want people to see that belief really makes a difference. And I know we can always be cheesy about it and say, just believe in yourself, man. No, it truly is. What you see in the film, if you haven't seen it, or what you will see, are these two lads, my brother and I, who just never stopped believing it was going to be a thing, despite the clapbacks, despite the hate, despite the haters, it was always like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do it. I don't feel disadvantaged. I just need to get up on my game. I hope it shows people to be fearless, People take away the idea of being courageous, of the standing up and say, how? I'll raise my hand, I'll represent, and go for it.
The opening night of the music portrait of a humble disabled Samoan was met with a standing ovation. Starring Vanuatu Pati Umanga, the show tells his life story, from humble beginnings in a family band to topping New Zealand music charts with the Holidaymakers, till a fall changed his life, leaving him confined to a wheelchair, battling depression and addiction. Umanga rose above his dark times and became a leader in advocating for the rights of people with disabilities. Tiana Hexton attended the show's premiere.
There were tears and cheers as the crowd stood, awarding a standing ovation to the cast of the music portrait of a humble disabled Samoan. Upon leaving the theatre, the audience expressed how touched they were by the show.
Just absolutely in awe of the people he acknowledged and the way that he's told the story through music and movement, and just a super powerful show.
But it had so much heart. Gotta say, it is so emotional. The type of ride of his life story, the ups and downs, you're gonna go on that ride too. It's powerful.
The story is so open to telling us about a very personal experience in a way that was wonderfully entertaining and powerfully moving. So my friends and I have come out being incredibly moved by it and talking about the impact of it and what it means for us and how we have learned so much from it.
Sitting front row was Rachel Tamapulu, who says she was deeply moved by the show. Her sister Tessa was highlighted in Umanga's story as the heroine who helped him find new purpose after his accident. Tessa was a former street kid Umanga helped in his days as a youth worker, never expecting she would one day be the one to pull him out of his own battle with depression and addiction. Rachel Tamapolu says the show attributed her memory with honour.
It was absolutely beautiful. I'm very proud of Pati, and he spoke about my sister tonight, who was his best friend, Tessa, so that's very emotional. He's honoured her legacy so beautifully, and it was hard for me to not just weep.
The music portrait of a humble disabled Samoan also sparked conversations on making theatre attendance more accessible to the less able-bodied. Not only did the performance feature 3 wheelchair users, including Umanga, a sign language interpreter was embedded into the show. An audio-described session is also available. Audience member Tane Mahuta Gray says the accessibility to the show echoed Pati Umanga's advocacy for the disabled community.
In which the kaupapa Pati, and you can see that all through his whole journey is that, and making sure that space is there for all that. So just watching the sign language performer was so phenomenal too. That was a show in itself. It was amazing.
Australian Carolyn Brown says the show has shone a light on how theatre should and could be made accessible to all.
That's one of the most amazing things about this work, was it actually amplified how important and actually how easy it is to have embedded components of accessibility in the work itself.
Addressing the crowd gathered in the theatre lobby after the show, Umanga said their reactions deeply moved him. He shared how he never thought he would one day be on stage sharing his personal life story.
I can't quite fathom it, so please forgive me if I feel a bit distant from everything at the moment, because if I don't keep myself at that length, I'm not going to hold myself together.
He says it was very important to him that the needs and concerns of people with disabilities were taken into account at every level of production. He hopes this will invoke change to accessibility worldwide.
I'm hoping that what we learnt about how disabled-related needs are met can be carried to the next production. I'm already freaking out because I'm getting people from Switzerland, Germany, and Australia. They're all coming around and saying, what a powerful story. And I'm saying, oh my gosh, thank you. That really does mean a lot.
Showings of the music portrait of a humble disabled Samoan continue till 8th March at Te Ahuretoi o Tāmaki Auckland Arts Festival, before heading to Wellington for the Aotearoa New Zealand Festival of the Arts from 12th to 14th of March.
That's Pacific Waves for today. For all episodes, head over to rnz.co.nz/Pacific. We're also on Spotify, Apple and iHeartRadio. From myself and the RNZ Pacific team, tō whā, sui fua.